What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today for the weekly sports card market update. Newsy stuff. Nothing really crazy and new since the midweek update that I did on, I think it was like Wednesday or something like that, where we kind of caught up on a bunch of news stories. So we don't necessarily need to rehash those. I posted the video late Saturday afternoon about the Ohtani trimming PSA thing. So feel free to go ahead and check that one out. I'm basically recording this video immediately after that video. So if anything new has happened with that, I just don't know about it yet because of the timings of the video recordings. Had my local Hartville show on Saturday. It has expanded out to the tent now. So if you're familiar with that show, you know in the summertime it gets a little bit bigger. Good crowd. It's always hard to judge because it's at a flea market. So it's hard to tell how many people are there for the flea market versus the card show, but the vendor tables seemed busy as I was walking around. No major pickups for me. I sold some Pokemon wax, which I had talked about in Friday's video. I had some, if you guys missed that one, I had some retail Pokemon wax, some ETBs, some premium collection boxes, some sleeved Evolving Skies packs. There's a couple $100 worth of stuff that I wanted to move off of. I'm not bullish on Pokemon anymore. I just want to focus mainly on booster boxes. And part of this was freeing up a little bit of cash and also freeing up a little bit of space. Because retail wax, specifically Pokemon retail wax, takes up a ton of room, and I am friends with a dealer that sells a lot of Pokemon, so I figured it was a no-brainer. Hook him up with a deal on that stuff to move off of that. The only pickup that I made was, I'm a degenerate, what are you going to do? I grabbed a couple Bowman blasters, 3 of them to be precise, that I got for $30 a pop. I was kind of, I don't want to say hunting for them at retail this week, but I enjoyed opening those when I ripped those 10. So if I ran across some this week in my travels, I was going to grab a couple more. I didn't. These were at the show for $30, which is cheaper than what I could get them for retail. Because the best you're going to find them for is at retail plus, there's 30 plus tax. So I figured 30 outdoors perfectly fine. I grabbed 3 of those. I recorded a video on those. Nothing crazy. I don't know if I'll post it or not. I probably will. We'll see. But that's recorded. We'll see if it gets posted. But rip those. And no other real pickups. Once again, I'm kind of in hoarding mode when it comes to cash, unless I just really see a killer deal or something that I'm really looking for pops up. Like if you watch the live stream, I picked up a new Star Wars auto. It's posted on my IG. I got a Jyn Erso Star Wars Stellar auto. Those never come to market, and one came to market at a fair price, so I grabbed that. I'm always still going to grab stuff like that for sure. But just with Heroes Con coming up and the National coming up, I just want to be slightly more conservative than normal. And there's also some pretty big wax stuff coming up. You know, Lorcana's coming up pretty soon. I'm intrigued by Bowman University a little bit. I'll probably do a separate video on that this week, but I talked at length about that during the live stream on Friday night about kind of my thought process behind that one. So I might want to pick up a couple boxes of that. So I'm just trying to be forward thinking here and not be so impulsive like I tend to be sometimes when it comes to this stuff. As always, if you had a local show, feel free to throw the vibes down below in the comments, whether you were just walking around shopping or if you were set up as a dealer. How are things going on the mean streets of the card show world? Speaking of card shows, I have it up on the screen here. The Shipshawana show is coming up at the end of the month, so just wanted to make sure that that was on your guys' radar. It did move. It is now, and by move, it's in the same location, but it is a Sunday show now. Instead of being on actual Memorial Day, it is shifted to Sunday with a Saturday night trade night. I am 70-30 on this one, 70 leaning towards going. I'm just waiting to finalize a couple things. I'm always kind of last minute on this show, which works out perfectly fine. I am way more likely to go with it being a Saturday, Sunday now with a Monday off work. I always hated, for me, it's a 4-hour drive. I do not like the idea of making that drive home and then immediately going to work the next day. As someone that spends their life in a car for work, driving far distances on the weekend feels like work, even when it's not, just because, sitting in the car and staring at the highway is what I do a lot during the week. But with that day off in between, having the actual holiday to be able to relax makes me much, much more likely to attend this show. I've gone to this show, I think, 3 or 4 times now, maybe even 5 times. Always love it. Always have a good time. So if you are in the Midwest region, highly encourage you to check this show out and don't miss out on the trade night. Trade night's absolutely a blast. And this time around, I will not, God, I hope not anyways. I shouldn't jinx it because it's Ohio and Indiana. But I should not have to deal with a blizzard. Last time when this show fired off in March, it was an absolute mess. Not the show, but the situation surrounding the show with the weather and everything. If you know, you know. If you were there on the mean streets with the Amish fighting the blizzard, you know what I'm talking about. That was nasty. So that's kind of it for the news bit stuff. Let's go ahead and dive into some charts and graphs. I have a lot of charts and graphs pulled up since we're a little less news heavy on this one. So let's go ahead and fire over to market movers. I should mention, I brought this up last week. They have rolled out a new promotion. So as I've mentioned, it's a 14-day free trial. That I knew. I didn't realize how good the percentage off was until this week. After the 14-day free trial, if you decide to stay with Market Movers, you get 20% off whatever you sign up for, but it is for life. In the past, it was like 20% off for a month or a one-time purchase. This is 20% off, period. And this will work if you used to use Market Movers and are deciding to come back to it. It'll work for that as well. I always get questions about, is Market Movers worth it? As I always say, each person is going to be different. I would recommend trying out the free trial. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. That's your 30-second pitch for the old Market Movers. First up, basketball. Lakers Warriors series has come to an end. I am obviously recording this prior to Game 7 of Philly Boston, so we don't know what happens in that game yet. But Steph Curry heads home. LeBron moves on. As much as I hate LeBron on the Lakers, I hate Curry and the Warriors way more as a Cavs fan. So it was nice to see LeBron send Curry packing. Pulled up LeBron stuff here. I didn't expect a lot of price movement yet because I am running these charts on Saturday and that game just happened late Friday night. But I kind of wanted to just more as like a reference point to see if he gets a little bounce in prices or not. I did notice, because I have a lot of saved searches for LeBron stuff, I did notice a lot of, I don't want to say nicer cards, but bigger cards, whatever. A little bit more LeBron stuff than normal firing into the eBay saved searches with the hype around him. If you do have LeBron you were looking to move off of, now might not be the worst time. As always, we talk about this all the time. You are better to sell prior to the event than the event itself. I will go out on a limb right now, and I don't even know how big of a limb this is. I have not checked the series odds yet. I'm taking the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are the better team, and I think the Lakers are going to have a little bit of problems with the every other nature of that series and playing in altitude. And there's always the injury concern as well. But I will formally take the Nuggets. They were my preseason pick to make the NBA Finals and win the NBA Finals. To play the Sixers, we'll see if they can finish that. More on that in a minute. But LeBron price is currently PSA 10 Topps Chrome base rookie. And what did I go back here? I forget. 60 days on this one, just to kind of give us an idea of how things have been floating around. Down slightly over the last 60. His PSA 10 base rookies at 5K. His PSA 9's at 1.4K. And then the refractors, I just pulled PSA 9 and PSA 8 here. PSA 9 refractor auto is at 7.5. And a PSA 8 is sitting right at 5K. So those are LeBron's current prices. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a slight bump with him making the Western Conference Finals and eliminating Steph. It is crazy what he's doing at the age that he is. It's absolutely nuts. I get the question a lot about the LeBron Jordan thing, and I always lean LeBron because of my Cleveland-based nature and having watched him play a ton. And I was live for Jordan. I watched Jordan kick the Cavs' ass back in the '80s or back in the '90s. My general consensus here when it comes to the LeBron Jordan debate, it really kind of boils down to this, and I don't know if many people can really argue with this. I'm sure someone can in the comments. Jordan probably is the greatest player of all time, but LeBron's going to have the greatest career of all time. In fact, he probably already does. That's kind of how I delineate those two. LeBron is always a lightning rod, so I am sure the comment section will have a field day with that one. Speaking of his running mate, Anthony Davis, and I went long view on this one because you forget how wild 2020 and 2021 really was sometimes. PSA 10 Anthony Davis base prism, $125 right now. This card is cheaper now than it was in January 2020 pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, back in January 2020, or actually, here you go, December 29th, 2019, this card was going for $330 before the card market went nutty, way before. I mean, the card market was, I think a lot of people forget about this, cards were actually creeping up and getting a lot of hype to them prior to the pandemic. The pandemic just injected it with steroids. But as you can see here, the beginning of this chart goes all the way back to December, $330. This card is down 62% from late 2019. Now, Anthony Davis has obviously been a little all over the place, especially in the latter years. He was very hyped when he first got traded to the Lakers. The wild part, I mean, maybe not even the most wild part. To me, that is pretty wild that this card is actually less than what it was going for in 2019. But how much this card sold for at one point in time, you see the peak of this graph here in summer of 2020, back when the Lakers were in the bubble. 3.28K and 3.29K with multiple other sales, 3K plus or high twos. And even for a while there in 2021, this leveled out in the low twos, 2.25, etc. throughout this entire stretch, really the early part of 2021 into the summer of 2021. And then it really came back to earth and kind of still continues to float, even now, still downwards a little bit. It's kind of leveled out here at this 125 price range, but I'll be curious to see if he actually gets any bump. Listen, he played really well so far this playoffs. Yeah, he's been in and out, but defensively, he's been an absolute monster, and he is a big reason why they had a lot of success against the Warriors. We'll see if he can keep it going. He has a big challenge against Joker, and this is not an endorsement to run out and buy Anthony Davis cards. I am not doing that personally, but it is just interesting seeing this card priced lower than 2019 pricing. Now, he was much more hyped in 2019. The shine has since come off a little bit on his career. Still a really good player, though. Injury prone as all hell, but still a really good player. The Joker moves on to the Western Conference Final. His prices are seeing a little bit of an uptick. This is over the last 30 days. His PSA 10 base prism is up 35% as he absolutely eviscerated the Suns. Now, in my opinion, the Suns were not a complete team. Obviously, they had injuries with Paul and Ayton in that last game, but Paul's been out most of the series. Even without that, they gave up so much for the KD trade. That roster was kind of gutted. I really feel like they need an offseason to bring in some spare parts, some mid-level exception guys. That being said, it is going to be difficult. The free agent class this year sucks. They will be a destination target for all the old vets that want to go on a vet minimum and potentially ring chase. They do have big questions to answer around Chris Paul and Ayton, so the Suns are kind of at a crossroads. The Nuggets look fantastic. They decimated the Suns. We will see what they do against the Lakers. Like I said before, personally, I think they beat the Lakers and move on. This is a really big year for Joker. He has the 2 MVPs. He really needs the championship / playoff success to kind of solidify his career and probably build in a decent amount of value to his stuff at that point. Not saying that his stuff can't go down. It probably will. But at that point, he's a 2-time MVP with an NBA ring. That kind of elevates you to a different echelon. And I think they have the best chance to do it. I think they're the best team remaining, and the path is wide open. Let's be honest. The Eastern Conference is a mess. The Celtics and Sixers are probably better than the Heat. The Heat, on paper, their roster looks like trash besides Jimmy Butler and Bam. But the Celtics and the 76ers cannot get out of their own ways. Both those teams seem like messes, and we'll use that to transition into our next card. Jason Tatum. This is his PSA 10 Silver and Optic Hollow. Silver's down 23%. The Hollow is down 2%. These cards were this close to absolutely collapsing. Game 6, Tatum was god-awful for 3 quarters. I had the memes ready to go for myself included, Green Prism Tatum holders, on how our life was going after that game if they ended up losing, because Tatum was terrible for 90% of the game. Now, the last 10%, he came out of a shell, hit a couple big shots. We will see what happens later today in Game 7, depending on when you're watching this. But boy, oh boy, these prices could have been an absolute disaster. This is another guy, Tatum, that really needs a title, in my opinion. He has a lot of accolades on him. There's a lot baked into that pricing. He has gotten close a lot of times and has never been able to quite finish yet. We'll see if this is going to be the year. Things are wide open for them to at least get back to the finals if they could get past the 76ers later today. I have no idea who is going to win that Game 7. I don't feel like either team really wants to win it. We'll see what happens. I didn't pull Embiid charts, but Embiid kind of falls into the same category as Joker. Really, really good player. Obviously now has an MVP, but lacks long-term playoff success. He has not gotten over the top. Would be big for him to put another ring or put a first ring on his finger as well. I personally don't think either one of those teams could do it. I think this is all set up for Denver to win it all. If the Lakers somehow manage to get past Denver, I would favor the Lakers and whoever comes out of the East, assuming that they're healthy. And that would be very interesting for LeBron to get another ring this late in his career with a Lakers team that by all accounts isn't top tier. It's just LeBron, AD, and a bunch of role players that they're just kind of dragging along, which, you know, LeBron's very good at that. You put good role players around him, he elevates them to a new level. That's it for basketball. Let's hop over and look at baseball really quickly. What I wanted to do here is just kind of check in on 2023 Bowman. I have pulled up all the first Bowman autos, just base, not refractors, nothing numbered, just base chrome autos. And what I like to do with these is just kind of rank them in order of sales. I'm still not paying too close attention to the individual numbers here in regards to what they're selling for. This product's still only really been on the market for 2 weeks. So prices are still settling. That's why you're seeing over the last 14 days all red on this as more supply hits the market. As always, if you're chasing stuff that's not numbered or super rare right when a product first releases, take a breath, wait like 3 weeks, and then go in and buy it. You still might not buy it at the low, but you're going to save a little bit of money on it for sure. No surprise, Drew Jones way up at the top, followed by Spencer Jones. Those are the two most hyped guys. Whether they're the best or not, I don't know, but they have the most hype behind them. Then you get in the junior, who is also pretty hyped. Then Matt Mervis, who's the one that I'm most concerned about, just because he's so old. And then you get into the kids, Cam Collier from the Reds, Jackson Holiday, which is not a first Bowman. That's just an on-card auto. His first Bowman was in last year's product. Then you get into DePaula, Justin Crawford from the Phillies organization, Yu Lee from the Phillies organization. What I have been told is that this guy is an okay prospect, but a lot of people are just chasing his autograph. Lazaro is pretty hyped for the Mariners. Julian also has a ton of hype behind him, but you can see we're already down into the $50 range on these first Bowman autos. Very quickly down from Drew Jones at $330, Spencer at $250, and down towards the bottom here, getting to the 30s pretty quickly. Now, obviously, you're looking for colored, numbered parallels and stuff like that to really juice a box up, but you can very quickly see how a $600 jumbo box turns into a $150 box or a $90 box, depending on the autos that you hit. You really need to snag at least one of these bigger guys to even have a chance, and then hope that it grades well, in addition to hitting like a decent numbered parallel or stuff like that as well. But that is where 2023 Bowman singles sit, at least at this time. Let's swing in, check in on football really quickly. We haven't looked at football prices in a hot minute. I was kind of curious and pulled up a lot of the trendy quarterbacks. This is over the last 30 days. We have Josh Allen, Optic Hollow, PSA 10. Once again, we use the hollow here instead of the silver because 2018 silvers are myths. They're extremely rare. 2017 silver Mahomes in a PSA 10. And then for Hurts, Herbert, and Burrow, I want to note this. I used PSA 9s. PSA 10s, and I went 30 days on this, sorry. Over the last 30 days, there was like one sale on each of those cards, and obviously I need multiple sales to see if there's a trend or not on anything. So I went PSA 9 because they transact more often. And once again, I'm not necessarily comparing individual players to each other here. I just kind of wanted to see, were things green, red, flat, what's going on right now with football. And for the most part, it's really kind of flat. The Josh Allen Optic Hollows up 20%, but everything else is basically dead flat. Burrow PSA 9 up 2%, basically flat. That's within the margin of the normal fluctuations you're going to have between random sales. Herbert PSA 9, same thing, 5% up. That's nothing. Jalen Hurts Silver PSA 9, down 3%. Once again, basically nothing. It is always interesting to me looking at these guys, the gap between the three. Hurts was one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. I know, system player, rushing quarterback, all the nonsense. Was in the Super Bowl. He's the cheapest. Herbert hasn't done a damn thing in the NFL. He's at $370 for a PSA 9. Burrow, been to a Super Bowl, actually looks pretty good, is up at $445. Herbert is the one that I continue to question the most out of all these guys on that price. Boy, oh boy, he better have a big season or you are going to see his prices fall this upcoming year, is my hot take. And then Mahomes staying perfectly flat. 3.6K, no change over the last 30 days. So, will things creep up between now and, let's say, the National? That's kind of like the kickoff to the hype of the football selling season. We will see. We will see. A lot of people pick up football now in the spring to take to the National and flip. We will see if prices don't move up. You're losing out on that one. But typically they do. We'll see what happens. Ultra Modern's kind of in a weird place right now. We will continue to keep an eye on it as we move throughout the spring and into the early parts of the summer. What did you do to prep for the National today? If you are planning on attending, that is a question you should be asking yourself as it is rapidly approaching. It will be here before you know it. I will leave you on that. That is all I have for you boys and girls today. Enjoy a Game 7. We have a Game 7 in the NBA between two teams that don't want to win. That should be an entertaining game no matter what, or at least I hope that it is. Content for the upcoming week, just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. I have a grading company video coming out. Some interesting data behind one of the grading companies that I was working with Gem right on, digging through some numbers on pop reports on some stuff. I need to record that video first. I popped up with an idea today after the trimming video, an idea for how we could potentially, I don't want to say solve trimming because it's not going to solve it, and it would take a huge ask from a lot of different companies working together, but I have an idea for that. I have the Bowman blasters, not sure if that one will get posted or not. And then Thursday night, I am unsure of the time yet. We will be going live. It is the 3-year birthday of the channel. No promises for special guests. I'll probably shoot out a couple different invites. No idea if anyone will show up, but we have that as well. And then people have been asking, there is a comic book video coming. I am having a guest on this week to chat comic book market talk. Friend of the channel, fellow content creator. We are going to do a little collab to talk comic book market. I think the comic book market is in a very interesting place. and it may be starting to stabilize faster than the sports card market has. At least that's kind of the vibes that I'm getting. So we will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.